Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Curiously enough, we've actually got some brand new leaked information, some insider info on not Call of Duty 2025, the next COD title coming up, obviously, this time, next year in fall of 2025, but instead, Call of Duty 2026, which is rumored to be the next Infinity Ward game. Now, I know what you're saying, oh boy, Infinity Ward, because I know they've certainly lost some trust with the community. Infinity Ward used to be maybe the most iconic game dev because they had MW2 2009, they had MW3, they had Ghosts and Infinite Warfare 2, but Modern Warfare 2019 sort of saved their reputation a little bit, bounce back game for them. And then Modern Warfare 2 2022 happened, and it had all the hype in the world, maybe the most anticipated COD of all time, and it was fun for about a month, and then it lost all traction, lost all hype, and never really rebounded, right? But Infinity Ward does have another game lined up. It's supposedly Call of Duty 2026. We've got our very first details on what presumably is going to be Modern Warfare 4, a title that obviously has never happened before in Call of Duty. So hey, good on Infinity Ward. They finally made it back to where they can have a new title game. It's not just reusing one of the more iconic ones from back in the day, right? But as always, at the end of the day, this is insider information. These are currently leaks and rumors, so nothing here is 100% official. And obviously, we're talking 2026. That's a long ways out. Plenty of things are going to evolve, things are going to shift and change in that time, but for initial details here, we actually get some pretty interesting information. So this info is stemming from the Ghost of Hope. If you're an active viewer here on the channel, you've heard Hope's name mentioned several times before when it comes to leaks and insider information. Hope's built up a pretty credible track record, and so as always, it's leaks and rumors, but it's also coming from a source that has been proven to be correct multiple times now in the past. So here's what Hope initially says about Infinity Ward's next title. This is what I'm hearing about the next IW game. Infinity Ward's next game is currently scheduled for late 2026, so no real surprise there. Every COD is launching in the fall. It's either October or November, pretty much every single year, right? Infinity Ward will be utilizing Omni movement and wall running, which is currently rumored to be a feature in COD 2025 as well in their games. So that in and of itself is huge. I want to talk more on this in just a moment. He does close out the tweet though by saying Infinity Ward will also be remastering a majority of the Modern Warfare 3 2011 maps for the game alongside new original maps as well. So that's the first initial rundown. Hope does have another follow-up tweet that we'll break down here in just a moment, but simply focusing on that initial information here. First off, when it comes to movement, the Omni movement feature there is pretty important because you may recall we reported on this a while ago because it was another bit of insider info and another rumor that surfaced. Infinity Ward was not really happy with the direction that Activision was pushing them in regards to their game design, particularly about movement is sort of the conclusion that everyone came to. Activision was probably saying, hey, you're gonna use Omni movement, you're gonna use this stuff that Treyarch designed in your game for once, instead of the other way around. Typically, Infinity Ward is the one who develops the new main features, and then every other studio's got to feed off of what they created. This time, the script was flipped on them, and they weren't too happy about it. There was apparently sort of a stagnant time where there wasn't much progress being made on the game because Infinity Ward just wasn't happy with what they were being told to do. I guess that was resolved in some way, shape, or form because utilizing Omni movement in COD 2026 is what this newest report says. So we'll be interested to see Infinity Ward's take on that, considering Infinity Ward was very much so anti-movement within Modern Warfare 2, obviously. We went from Modern Warfare 2019 and Warzone 1, one of, if not the single smoothest feeling Call of Duty of all time with slide canceling and how everything behaved in that game movement-wise, to Modern Warfare 2, one of the worst feeling games, at least in my opinion, with clunky movement, really slow speeds across the board, just a complete 180 for no real reason. So that in and of itself, a pretty big thing going on there. You also have wall running mentioned there too, a feature that's supposedly going to happen in COD 2025, sort of as Omni movement is fine-tuned, almost a hybrid system of the jetpack era CODs like BO3 or Infinite Warfare, and then Omni movement now where it's a little bit more advanced. Could be very interesting to see that. The MW3 maps being remade, remastered, not a huge surprise there. Obviously, every Modern Warfare title at this point is reusing some of those classic maps as like a nostalgia bait, if you will. Obviously, coming off of Modern Warfare 3, reusing all of the MW2 2009 maps at launch kind of paved the way for, hey, Modern Warfare 3 maps being remastered next is most likely where the franchise is going to go. So that lines up with that theory quite nicely there. But as I alluded to, that's not the only thing that Hope details with this next game. You got a bunch of questions in the replies to this initial report and to this initial tweet. And one in particular that stood out to me, someone asked Hope, got any details on the campaign or zombies even? And Hope responds and says, I've heard campaign may fully embrace the Black Ops 2 tech feature with 2025 to spice things up and win people over again after people lost faith in the story with MW3 and to a degree MW2. So they might lead up and follow with what's going on in COD 2025, whatever that ends up being, that sort of Black Ops 2 sequel / remaster, whatever we've got going on there. They'll build off of that in some capacity. Obviously still a Modern Warfare based game with, Price and Ghost and everything, likely continuing the story that we had sort of end off with MW3. Of course, if you played the campaign there, one, you're probably disappointed in the end. Two, it did sort of leave off on what could be next with the story, and they sort of expanded on that in some of the seasons. But building off of that, and then utilizing some of the tech that COD 2025 ends up, having in it. So interesting sort of scenario there where Treyarch and Infinity Ward are almost going to have shared systems, not just in multiplayer like what we'd have now with, COD HQ, everything being built off the same engine. So features like Omni movement will be omnipresent, if you will, in all COD titles, but also different features and designs for campaign even as well. So for the very first info for COD 2026, it's definitely an interesting conversation, safe to say, right? Like Omni movement being a main thing, I think could be really interesting, and then just seeing how exactly Infinity Ward rebounds. As I mentioned at the start of the video, I think there's going to be a big trust issue going into this title. Doesn't matter what the title of the game itself is. Modern Warfare 4, if they call back to everything they did well with MW 2019 or even previous titles, great, but they're gonna have to prove it. I really think there's gonna be a lot of skepticism, and rightfully so, going into Infinity Ward's next title, just because of the 180s that they did with Modern Warfare 2. As I said, maybe the most hyped Call of Duty of all time, and then flipping the script, doing a complete 180 building off of MW 2019, losing so many players off of launch. Personally, like from my experience, Modern Warfare 2's launch was the biggest in my channel's history, and then it only took about a month or two to come back down to earth, and it was the same levels that Vanguard had, right, in terms of viewership and general interest in the game and everything. Like, absolute flop. It is crazy how much that fell off, and that's because of the game design. Players did not like it, and they didn't listen. They heard the feedback, but they didn't choose to actually respond to it and make the changes needed. It wasn't until MW3 did all of it there a year later, but then people just assumed, hey, it's a DLC, not gonna buy it, don't really need it. Just played MW2, it's almost the same game, just a little bit faster, right? Totally understandable. So there's gonna be that barrier of, hey, we know you didn't like our previous title, we're gonna switch that up this time. We're gonna reverse 180 again. Now we're back to doing what we do well at Infinity Ward, and hopefully they can regain that trust and produce a solid Call of Duty title. Time is gonna tell though. Obviously, as I said, we're way far away from this all coming to fruition still, but I have to imagine because of COD HQ, we're going to continue to see leaks for this game and probably other insider information drop on this game in the coming months. So if you want to guarantee you're up to date with everything going on in COD, whether it's leaks and rumors, actual insider info, whatever the case is for COD 2025, COD 2026, really anything going on, this is the best place to be to stay up to date. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, a like rating on your way out would be seriously appreciated as well. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.